I did want to touch on this question of, is the incorporated societies model the right model for your organization? So it's a quick story, real story. Friday night, I love getting calls late on a Friday night. The person says, hey, Steven, just to let you know, we're having our AGM tomorrow. So this is the president of the Incorporated Society. Everything's been going smooth, not anticipating anything major. We noticed a bump in new members, actually. It's been really good, seeing some life there. I'll give you a call on Monday, let you know how it went. Monday comes, it's the president on the other end of the phone line, different voice. What's happened? The old officers, the old president, they have been voted out and replaced by a new regime, right? So, and the new regime is going off in a different direction. So the point is that incorporated societies on a scale of democracy, and I'm not advocating against democracy, but on a scale of democracy, they are very democratic, which means that the members can vote for new people to come in. The worst case example of this that I've heard of that did actually happen was new members increased just before the AGM. The old guard is really happy because look at all these new people who are coming in. They hold the AGM, all the new members vote out the old people, vote in the new people. The very first decision of the new officers is to wind up the society. So this is the tendency that it can happen. And then the last scenario, obviously I'm painting the worst case here because I want to make the point, but the other worst case would be, okay, we've had our AGM, I'm the new president, Sophie, you're the former president. Oh, by the way, what's the login codes for the bank account? And where's that key to open up the the cupboard with all of our special history and memorabilia and everything? And Sophie's like, yeah, I dispute that election. I actually think that there wasn't quorum, and I didn't say it at the time, but I'm still the president and you are not the president. And I have all the codes, I know everything, and you're out on your own. And I wouldn't mention that if I hadn't seen it actually happen, right? Like it's a real life situation. And in that situation, that incorporated society had millions of dollars in the bank account. So it wasn't like just, here's the local knitting club with 8 people involved. This was multi-million-dollar situation. The reason I give you the worst case scenarios is that what better opportunity for some of you to be saying, why are we an incorporated society? Like, why were we set up this way? In 1967, it was the best model to use, but actually things have changed and we should look at the option of transitioning from an incorporated society to becoming a charitable trust. So I offer that as an alternative because charitable trusts are quite well known. People know how they operate. You have trustees which continue not in a yearly election cycle. You also have a consistency in terms of the purpose. If you walk into a meeting and you say you're a charitable trust, people will understand what type of entity it is. It's not like a quirky, unusual, oh, well, we're a limited partnership or something. What's that? So I offer that as a challenge for those of you who are officers of your entities. The answer to the question may be, we are fine. We are happy with how we operate. No problems. We love being an incorporated society. But this is the perfect moment in the life cycle of all of your organizations. And for those of you who are advisors, I see you there. And those of you from Peak Bodies, I see you on this call. What better time to ask some hard questions than the moment when you have to re-register? And 1908 was how many years ago? It was a long time ago. It's unlikely that incorporated societies are going to be given another opportunity to revisit their structures in the next our lifetimes, right? Like, so my encouragement would be, why not have a blue skies moment in the next meeting and say, what do we think? Is incorporated society the best model, or should we consider some other structure? And then if you wanted to explore that, we've done, Sophie, I've forgotten how many memos we've done on this topic, helping people to understand, okay, well, what would this really look like? And the answer is that you would set up a new entity and you would transition the assets over from the old entity to the new one, and you would wind up the old entity, assuming the rules allow that. So every situation is going to be different. But the new entity, it's possible for it to continue with the same charity services registration number. So there's a link with the past. It is, though, a new entity. So there is some work involved of saying, well, actually, we need a new bank account now because it's this new, legal entity. Actually, we need a new IRD number because it's this new legal entity. But my encouragement is, hey, what better moment than needing to re-register to ask a hard question, look in the mirror, and honestly say, yep, this is it. This is for us. And I'm totally fine if all of you say, yep, this is for us. But I have a feeling that at least some of you on the call are thinking to yourself, well, actually, yeah, why were we set up as an incorporated society? And it doesn't really match how we operate today. And having those AGMs with the political nature of elections doesn't really suit us achieving our aims. The last thing I'll say there is, let's always never lose sight of the fact that, particularly for charities, it should always be, what's our purpose? Why were we set up? Rather than falling in love with the entity type. If you were set up to help preschool children, then that should be what you care most about, rather than we've got to perpetuate the legal form that was started whenever we started. So I'm coming on quite strong there, but I just want to give you the option to think about this and to challenge you, because I would feel bad if in 6 months' time, a bunch of you write and say, oh, we never really thought about it. Maybe that was our moment to consider a different option. So I'm sure Sophie's done it, but I did write an article about this for the Auckland District Law Society, which is a leading provider of templates and many other things. And so that link, it's written with the great Craig Fisher. So he's an accountant background. So we came together to write this article together. And I hope that it challenges. Like, honestly, if you can't deal with a bit of challenge, then I just think we need to look at the hard questions as well. So